Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mother City Champions. The whole purpose of this show is to pull back the curtain and introduce you, the public, to some of the truly remarkable people, what we call Mother City Champions, who work in the city of Cape Town and who diligently behind the scenes make this the greatest city in the world. And today, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Miss Arlene Wehr. Arlene, you are today's Mother City Champion. Very nice to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Arlene is a district head for an entire district in our fire and rescue services in the city of Cape Town. Hence this incredibly fancy uniform here today. Now, a district head is a very senior position. You run an entire district for fire and rescue in the city of Cape Town, which runs here from the CBD where we are, all the way to the southern suburbs of the city. Now, that is a remarkable position in and of itself, but incredibly remarkable, all the more remarkable in that the city of Cape Town's fire services is 177 years old, founded in 1845. I'm sure the oldest fire and rescue service, municipal fire and rescue service in the country. I have no doubt about that. And in all of those 177 years of remarkable history, you, Arlene, are the very first female senior manager in the fire and rescue services. It is really a career, a calling that over the decades, over the centuries, has been dominated by men. So why don't we just start by saying, well done, congratulations. Thank you for the service that you render to the people of Cape Town. And tell us how it is that Arlene Wehr came to be a senior manager in Cape Town's fire and rescue services. Go right back to the beginning for us, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I will do so. When I worked as an assistant accountant, I had a brother in the fire service. And I wanted to be doing something for my community. So I was looking around, okay, this is something good that I need to do. And at the time when I wanted to join, there were no females in the job as yet, or they weren't appointing any females. And as soon as they started appointing females, which was in about 1995, I said to him, well, I'm physically fit, I love doing this, and I just want to do something for myself and my community. And in 1996, I did the whole training and all of that, and from there it was just all the way through. I progressed from firefighter to senior firefighter in 2003, and in 2004 I got promoted to platoon commander. I was the first female platoon commander as well in the City of Cape Town Fire and Rescue Service, and continued and studied even further for my higher diploma in fire technology.
Let's just take a pause there for people watching at home who have no idea what a platoon commander is. What does a platoon commander do? Okay.
A platoon commander is in charge of a crew at the station on one platoon. There's normally 3 platoons. Those are actually the shifts that the firefighters work. We work 24-hour shifts, so there's 3 platoons. So if you're a platoon commander, you're in charge of a shift.
And each platoon has a truck?
Each platoon, it's one station, but the shifts they work is 3 platoons. So on the one day...
so you could have a whole lot, actually.
Yes. So on the one day, you will be at work for 24 hours. Then you'll be off for your 48. Then the other 2 platoon commanders of the other 2 shifts will work. So that is basically your platoon commander. Those are the ranking structures. I'll go through them because I've had to progress through all of them. Yes, so
career first platoon commander. What comes after platoon commander?
Platoon commander, then station commander.
Station commander. So you were first station commander, and then after that?
Divisional commander.
Wow.
Was the first female divisional commander as well. And as a divisional commander, I managed the entire fire safety district for Blauberg. That is all the plans, fire inspection, compliance. And that is also important for our own firefighters going to fires to make sure that if they go to a building, that they are safe when they go and put out the fires there as well.
So let's just go all the way back to the beginning. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Mitchell's Plain.
In Mitchell's Plain. What part of Mitchell's Plain?
Westridge.
In Westridge. Okay,
Yes.
excellent. We're going to come back to how your career developed, but I just want to go straight to a remarkable incident / tragedy, but what must have been a moment of significant pride for you in your life. When I had just been the mayor for a couple of weeks, I was with my family in, oh goodness, where we were out past Worcester somewhere for the day having lunch. And I got a call from the fire chief to say that Parliament is burning. And that was on was it the 1st of January?
About the 2nd of January.
2nd of January, 1st or 2nd of January. And of course that disrupted my day, but not nearly as much as it must have disrupted your day as the divisional, as the area head. Now, the district head. But then there was this remarkable moment where the president comes to visit the fire site, and he says, thank goodness we've got one city whose fire services actually work, or something like that, words to that effect. Tell us about that moment. Tell us about that morning. A huge sense of national tragedy that this historic, wonderful building is burning down, but at the same time, Cape Town Fire Services, possibly finest hour, and yours personally. Tell us about it.
I must tell you, at that time, I was in hospital.
Oh, really?
But I knew exactly what was going on because my telephone was ringing and I was kind of issuing instructions from my hospital bed.
Oh, dear. So you missed this pivotal moment.
I missed that moment, yes. But I won't say missed.
But it was all your crews.
It was all my crews. I knew exactly what they were doing at each of the moments because I got the messages. They sent me pictures. Ma'am, we're doing this. We're sending this. So I was kind of on top of all of it. So I wasn't, unfortunately, at that fire.
Yeah.
I was in hospital. So
That's,
my crews
you must have
did
seen the president's speech on TV.
Yes,
How
I
did
did.
that feel?
Well, I felt extremely proud to have all my staff and my firefighters do such an impressive, wonderful job.
Wonderful.
We couldn't save much of it, but they did their very best, and which they always do. So,
well, let me tell you, they saved the most important parts because as a bibliophile, I'm a major bibliophile. The saving of Parliament's library was absolutely critical. That was an act of national service, actually. Arlene, speaking of libraries, all of us were devastated by the loss of the Jagger Library at UCT. That was another major incident that must stand out really in your career. You, again, that was in your district. Again, you must have been in the thick of it in that fire. Tell us about what happened there. Give us the insider's perspective.
I was the incident commander for that fire. The fire basically started on Philip Khosana, and the weather kind of just, I don't know, there was, the weather's strange where there's fire involved as well, because fire can create its own weather as well. So the fire spread over onto Rhodes Memorial, and from there the wind basically just took it down to the university, and that's where most of the damage basically occurred. And our crews tried to save a lot of it. We positioned our vehicles in such a way that they could try and protect the university, but there was just some elements beyond our control.
So all these years, this long and distinguished career, you're now a district head. Tell me, what is the worst incident that you've ever had to deal with?
The worst incident was my first ship fire. On training, we normally do training in our containers to kind of give you that feel of being inside a ship, because a ship is basically metal. So the heat is contained in there. If you put too much water, you're going to burn yourself with the steam. So you basically have to know you're going into a ship fire. Yes.
So how do you deal with it?
In a ship fire, you basically have to go and find the seat of the fire. So that is also a bit tricky, because in a building, you kind of know, okay, you're on the first floor, you're going here, you do the left-hand rule, right-hand rule. But in a ship fire, it's quite different, because there's lots of hatches going in and up and down and around. So it is quite difficult, and it is dark. because everything will be off. The only thing you'll be having is your BA set on you and your hose.
What's
A breathing a BA set is a breathing apparatus set.
Okay.
You've got a
oxygen bottle.
oxygen cylinder with a mask. So we call it a BA, which is actually a breathing apparatus.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you had this ship fire, and does that mean that you have to land on the ship with a helicopter?
We don't always go out to sea to the ship fires there. It's mostly when the ship fires in the harbour.
Inside the harbour.
Yeah, it's inside the harbour. We assist the fire department there, but it's mostly us going in because we've got the training to go and do top descents into the fire, into the ship fire. And
extremely dangerous, huh?
extremely dangerous because you can get lost.
Yeah.
But they, as I said, we get trained not to get lost because you've got your hose with you, so you've got to find your way back out. If you get lost, just follow your hose back out because the couplings, the females are going to the fire and the males are coming out, so you've got to know which way is in and which way is out. So by checking the couplings, you will know, okay, that way is out and that way is going back in.
Fascinating.
So,
Fascinating.
yes. And all that was done in the dark. You do have a torch, but you've got to know your way around.
You still got to look for people, you got to carry them.
Correct.
Got to
We
try
do
and find the
search and
fire.
rescue. If there's any rescues, we'll have to effect the rescue first, yes.
Yeah. So the question on everyone's mind, Arlene, do firefighters still slide down the pole?
Yes, they do.
Do they?
They do.
Really? That's amazing.
They do. Most of our fire stations have all our poles in working order.
Wow.
I think that is the first thing people that come visit the station
They
can
wanna
we
know,
slide down the
exactly,
pole. Or
exactly.
yeah, but we can't really always do that because if there's any injuries, so we rather tell them we'll come down the pole for you.
But you see, that's one thing that's changed in the last few years, because I clearly remember, as you know,
Yes.
most Cape Townians now know that I grew up in Edgemead.
Yes.
And the city used to run these public education days when I was growing up, and we used to go down to Goodwood Fire Station, which is a great fire station and still very active and busy. But there, in those days, we were allowed to slide down the pole as kids. Now that's changed over the years. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to do that. Someone from health and safety has said that it's too dangerous.
Yes.
That's what health and safety people do, hey?
Yes, that's what they do. I know a lot of people used to do it
We'll edit
when
that
they. Yeah, that was one of the things that the kids used to like to do. For the open days, I am planning a big open day for next year.
Great.
Because I think COVID
I'd love to bring
hampered
my
a lot
daughter.
of that. Yes, you're welcome anytime. I've got quite a variety of vehicles and equipment at Rowland Street as the headquarters. And also being in the CBD, we've got our high rises, we've got our harbours, we've got the mountains. So I've got to have all types of vehicles to manage any incident that can occur. As I said earlier, I've got divers with a boat and the jet skis there if there's a rescue, a sea rescue or water rescue to be done. I've got the ropes for any mountain rescue, and then obviously for the fires, we've got tankers for water.
You've got cool kit, in other words.
Yes.
You've got cool kit.
Yes.
Excellent. So, talking about open days, let's just get on to community involvement in firefighting. I mean, one thing that I remember, I wasn't the mayor yet, but from the UCT fire, took some bottled water down to Roland. There's a call that goes out. Firefighters need your support. They need some bottled water, some food, and took a couple of cases of bottled water and was absolutely blown away. Went into the reception area, and it was literally packed to the ceiling with Energade bottles and bar ones and energy bars and water and you name it. One thing that really I love about Cape Townians is they really support our fire services, really just extremely generously. Why do you think that is? And how strong is that support that you've experienced?
I must say thank you to the community. They've always been supportive towards the fire service. And that specific fire, it was really something I haven't seen in many years. I think that was the biggest support that the entire community of Cape Town came together and gave donations towards the firefighters. And I must say thank you from the fire side, because the guys really did work. They were well fed and hydrated, so hence I could say
Lovely.
they could work when asked to work, and put in that extra, because the community basically looked very well after them. And the community support for the fire service, I think it's that like hero type of image, which I think each little boy, but I can't say only little boys these days, little girls want to be firefighters.
Absolutely.
So I think the attraction would be the big red fire engine. And the people that came there, I had to basically move my other fire engines out of the engine bay and clear the engine bay in order to manage that.
What is your message to young people considering getting into fire and rescue in the city of Cape Town?
My message to them would be, put your mind to it. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. Whether you're male or female, this is an excellent career. You can progress through all the ranks. There's opportunities for studying, to further and better yourself and empower yourself. So this is quite a good career, whether it's male or female.
Great.
And I would say go for it.
And what do you need to get into the fire services? You need a matric?
You need matric, yes.
Okay, so that's a good message. Everyone needs to finish matric so that you can apply for the Cape Town Fire and Rescue. That's a great starting point.
Yes.
Arlene, one thing that comes to mind that must be tough as a senior officer in the fire services and balancing that with being a mum. I happen to know that you've got 3 kids, is that right?
That's correct.
How old are your kids?
32, 22, and 19.
Okay, lovely.
And I've got a grandson.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations. Congratulations.
He's 5.
That's amazing. What an awesome blessing. That must have been tough, balancing motherhood and quite literally climbing the career ladder in the fire services.
Yes, it was. My son at the time was 6 years old, just about to go to school. So 24 hours is not a joke for a mom and a child basically going to school for the first time.
Because when you're at the station, you're working 24-hour shifts.
That's correct. You're there for 24 hours. You can't go home and come back again. So lucky for me, I still have a very good support system. My husband, my mom and my dad, my brothers, my sister, because in the morning I would drop him at school and then come to work. The only time I see him would be the next day. So they had to then look after him, feed him, get him ready for school for the next day. He stayed with my mom in all that time while he was at school. And I was working the 24-hour shift. My daughters were born whilst I was being in the fire service, both of them. And also my mom had to give up a job to help me because there's no 24-hour creche to look after the kids. So between my mom and my husband, they had to manage the girls. My husband had to learn to plait hair because that was like, okay, Daddy must take us to
do it, right?
Yes, Daddy needs to take us to school. We can't go there standing like that. Mom is at work. Parties I sometimes used to miss. We'll have to rearrange and reschedule a party because Mom is off that day. We'll have another party. But the support structure, especially for a female in the fire service, you do need that support in order to make a success of your career. And I think it's a bit easier these days because some of the females, there is other avenues where they can send their kids to being on shift.
Well, Arlene, thank you so much for giving us some insight into who you are and what it is that you do. I get the sense that you love your job. Is that true?
Simply love it. Won't give it up.
Awesome. Well, in the same way that your brother inspired you to join the fire and rescue service in the city of Cape Town, I hope, and I feel that you've already done that, but hopefully this video and this interview will inspire many young Capetonians, and particularly young girl Capetonians, to please consider fire and rescue as a wonderful career. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being an inspiration to many. And thank you very much for your service to the city of Cape Town and to every Capetonian. Thank you for giving up all of those time with your family and your kids to the benefit of the public. And I think that Westridge and Rocklands High must be very, very proud of Arlene Wehr. So thanks for what you do, Arlene, and we really appreciate you. You are a Mother City champion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, there you are, everyone. Arlene Wehr is our Mother City champion for this episode. We are very, very proud in Cape Town of our fire and rescue services. They do an incredible job. They are head and shoulders above anything else that any fire service is able to produce in the Republic of South Africa. So we are extremely proud of them, and we're extremely proud of you, Arlene. Cheers.